Hi there. Welcome to the Lead Relationally podcast. Let's go for a walk and join the guys as they talk about a better way to lead people.
Well, hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us on another walk with Chris and Brad.
Well, it's always great to get out. I find that when we're walking, it just helps bring clarity to all the things that are swimming around in my head. I don't know about you.
I think that's the hope of this conversation is let's bring some clarity of what is it we're trying to achieve in these conversations together.
Yeah, well, we recognize that we're in murky waters here. It's a messy business. It's not the systematic way that I think we wish leadership would work sometimes.
Well, yeah, because we want the manual. If we start doing these 7 things and stop doing those 7 things, then we've got the key to success. And it's like, well, that's not wrong. There's always a little bit more messiness to it than that. We always know that those things fall a little bit short. Hence why we're asking people to come on a journey, on a walk with us, bringing in more and more clarity as we go.
Yeah, so hopefully today's conversation is helpful. We want to give you a picture that maybe will bring some clarity to what it is that we're doing when we're talking about leading relationally. And this will just be kind of one way of looking at it. But we were talking about doing puzzles the other week. And the puzzle analogy is just a very rich one that we didn't get a chance to unpack fully. We talked about what it meant to sort of help people see the frame so that they understand the picture that you have in your head when you're trying to accomplish something so that they can be helpful in the puzzle. But I think it goes much deeper than that. When we're talking about leading relationally, when we're talking about coming alongside somebody, I think it is like helping a child do a puzzle. Certainly anybody with kids knows what that's like, the highs and lows of helping a child do a puzzle. But even if you haven't ever sat with a child and done a puzzle, you will get the picture of how you help a child to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a neat picture. And it's even the posture of where you are in relation to the child. You normally sat right next to them, you're alongside them. And they're looking at the box and they dump the pieces out and they're looking at the picture. And so here they are, like ready, and then they kind of look up at you. And so then what do? Do you start turning the pieces over so they can see them? And you're kind of hands-on a bit with them. And so all of that is a unique picture of some of the people we're trying to lead, some of the people we're trying to manage, and we're trying to help, that are trying to solve a problem. Are the pieces there? And what's the vision of what even I'm trying to do? So it is a very clear, I think, picture of leading people to achieve something. And everyone understands it to some degree. Or 10 minutes ago, we were the child trying to do the puzzle. Right. So both sides of it we've experienced. And so I think it's a rich analogy that I think we can enjoy unpacking.
Yeah, because a leader might just say, well, the goal is for me to make sure that this puzzle gets done. Mm-hmm. And that's true. We would say, how the puzzle gets done matters, and what is it that the child is learning? Because ultimately, we don't need to do a 9-piece puzzle for our own ego. We don't really get anything from that. But the goal is to equip the child to become confident at doing puzzles, right? So you start with small ones, right? And you want them to have the victory. You want them to experience the joy of seeing it come together. And so you come alongside them, you're on their level, and you're helping them put it together. But you're trying to strike a balance because you don't want to do it for them, because then they're not really learning how to do the puzzle. And it's not the point that the puzzle gets done, because you could do it. The point is that they learn that they can do it and do it with confidence, so that when they do it the next time, they can do it no problem, or they can do harder puzzles. And so it's the balance of making sure that they don't get too frustrated, that it's not too hard, or that it's not too easy because you're essentially doing it for them. And when you're doing that with a kid, it's like, all right, you can kind of see it on their face. Are they getting it? Oh, they're not getting it. So then you have to offer a little bit more help. Maybe I'll slide this piece a little closer to them, or maybe I'll turn it and orient it the right way so that it catches their eye and they can see where it goes, right? We have a bag of tricks that we'll use to help a kid do a puzzle. If we're saying to the kid, pass me that piece, it goes here. See? Pass me the next piece. We know that still the kid's not doing the puzzle.
Or they won't do it with you next time.
Because you're no fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? They want to have the joy. We want to see them pound that piece in. It's that dance that we do with a child to help them have a great experience doing the puzzle. And I think that is such a great way of thinking about how we come alongside people.
But we also learn the ability to read the kid. It's like, oh, okay, the hands have gone down, the head's gone down. Okay, like they're getting discouraged. So that's when you would say more or interact more. But when they're like grabbing it and putting this piece and that and they're going, we wouldn't interrupt their flow. And it's like, that's amazing. But the real, I suppose, epiphany here is that we've gone from people that we used to do the puzzle once upon a time. That was our job. But now we've moved to, we're now helping them do the puzzle and learning how to read them and see what they're doing. And that's a slightly different skill set than what we already know how to do. We know where it goes totally, right?
Right.
But then it's funny when they go back to doing the same puzzle and they don't really need your help. Talk about progression. Like I can see how they've grown. So the first time they did this puzzle, very nervous, looking at you, needed lots of interaction. Now it's almost like they hit your hand out the way, right?
Right.
Yeah. When they do that, they hit your hand and great. Like, and my ego doesn't suffer and I don't burst into tears. Oh, they don't need me. Do you know what I mean?
No, you're proud of them, right? Because
Absolutely.
you realize they've learned the skill that you wanted them to learn. Now, has your kid ever told you how to do it? After you taught them, then they'll tell you, Daddy, this is how you do it. I was like, oh, okay. I'm glad you're here to tell me these things. But with a child, of course, we give them that pass. Of course, we delight in the fact that you always knew how to do this puzzle. You didn't have to be taught 2 days ago.
Right? Foolish.
You're the expert now. But that is what we've signed up for. When we're leading people, it's not about our ego. We want the puzzle done, but we don't have to be the one to have done it. In fact, you actually want the kid to feel like, I did this. And they might not ever really realize how much you were helping, how much you nudged pieces towards them, turned them the right way, flipped them over, so that they can have the win. They put the puzzle piece in. They get to feel what it's like when those pieces fit together. And then at the end, when they're done, they did the puzzle. And it's a test, because obviously with a puzzle, we don't care. But when it comes to our leadership, are we okay with our people saying, we did this? And we're saying, yes, you did. You did that.
Well, the work changes a bit for us, doesn't it? It becomes, have we worked out the right question to ask a kid that makes them see the right piece without frustrating them? Are we reading them well in a way that is encouraging them forward and pushing them? Do we go from the 9-piece puzzle to the 150-piece puzzle? No, we probably work our way up to it with more challenging stuff and what have you, because we want their confidence to grow with their ability. And so that's a relational concept in and of itself. And so even understanding that, otherwise you just get someone that's discouraged and feels defeated constantly, which is like, you feel that sense of drowning. It's a horrible feeling. So we don't want that for someone. But if they are feeling that, but then you come a little bit closer and your encouragement or nudging of the pieces becomes more. And so that becomes the work of the relational leader, of managing those things, finding those great questions, telling them when to take a break or a pause. Like, these are some of the things that are the arsenal that we're trying to develop along this conversation together.
Exactly. Chris, this is why I think this is such a great picture for what we do when we talk about coming alongside people and leading them, because you're literally alongside and it's dynamic. You're adjusting in real time to what you're seeing from your people. You're not standing back saying, well, I gave you the puzzle. I want it on my desk Monday morning. You're actually coming alongside to make sure it gets done, but to make sure that they are thriving as they're doing it. And as a kid gets older, how you support them changes. Like at first, you're probably picking it up with their hand. You might be guiding their hand, and you are pretty much putting the piece in yourself with their hand underneath yours. But the kid still gets the feeling of, I put the piece in, even though we were absolutely guiding their hand itself. That's when they're really small. Once they can hold the pieces themselves, we can coach. Oh, hey, try that the other way. Turn that around. And as they get older, you can turn them loose and check on, hey, how's it going? Oh boy, this is a tough one. Let me roll up my sleeves and I'll dive in with you. The encouragement that gives someone when their leader is willing to recognize, hey, this is a time where they could just use just a partner because it's more fun. Not because, well, I'm your boss, I shouldn't have to do this for you. No, you don't have to. You get to, because it's fun to do something together.
And when to point out or remind them of the big picture that they're looking at. Sometimes a kid gets so involved in the pieces, and sometimes you just have to flip the box up right in front of them so they can see it. And that's where we envision people. And we know there is when sometimes it's to help them with the pieces, sometimes it's to help them with the vision, sometimes it's the framing. So that's where our tips and tricks and things come in as a leader as to what maybe we need to emphasize and when. And I think that we can give ourselves a little bit of grace in learning that. Like, it took us a while to learn how to do puzzles. That makes total sense. we wouldn't be frustrated with a kid. Why do you take so long to learn that? You're just a stupid kid. Like, you wouldn't say that or do that. So in the same ways, being someone that's now a puzzle teacher, there's going to be some work there. And we can't just become experts at teaching people how to do this. Like we couldn't just become an excellent puzzle builder. The coaching part is a skill we're going to have to learn. And that's what this conversation is helping to accelerate as we walk together.
Chris, are you saying that our puzzle is the people doing the puzzles?
Oh my gosh. It's Inception. It's a dream within a dream.
This is very meta.
I don't want to lose everyone and go nuts. But yes, basically.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. It does change. And this can be difficult. You may have found this as you've grown as a leader, that you hit certain points where the job really changes. You got promoted as a leader because you were good at the task, but now you're not promoted to keep doing the task. You're actually promoted to empower others to do that task. And that can be a difficult moment for people. Sometimes the people that are the best at doing the puzzles have trouble helping other people do it because they were so good at it. So they don't understand, well, why would somebody else struggle? Why would somebody else need more help? Or I didn't need that. It'd be quicker if I just did this myself. And that is always the tough thing for a leader, because you probably are a leader because you're good at the puzzle yourself. And the maturity is recognizing, okay, I could do this. I could do it a lot quicker. I would do it better. But I have to, if I'm trying to lead this person, I have to let them get there. And we get it when it comes to a 3-year-old doing a puzzle. We get that. When it comes to the people we're leading, sometimes it's not as obvious to us. I was thinking about Wayne Gretzky wasn't actually a great coach when he tried his hand at coaching an NHL team. And you think, well, yeah, on some level that makes sense. It's like, this came so easy to you. It's actually hard to coach somebody because you don't actually know what they need. Because this was all sort of second nature to you. How do you come alongside someone that needs help that you never needed?
Well, you're a prime example of having 5 kids. You've taught a fair few kids how to do a puzzle, right? And it's like their learning styles were slightly different. So the first couple, the first kid, you did it one way, second kid. But then after that, you probably found it far easier to know, oh, I'm going to have to watch how you learn best and what encourages you and whatever, and how that works. So the first couple where you put the work in, they got your best, do you know what I mean? And then the other ones, you're just going to have to figure this out.
You're on your own.
You're on your own.
Yep.
Bring up yourself.
Yep.
But I love that idea that the first few are obviously actually more about us becoming a good coach. And then after that, it actually becomes easy to teach the puzzle to other people that maybe think or behave or learn different to yourself. That means that we become better, greater, more in leading people in a way that meets them where they're at and moves them forward.
Well, it is neat to see, brought up my kids, how the older ones help the younger ones.
Nice.
Because they are trying to do their best version of being like a parent, coming alongside, and they like being the expert, right? And this is where we get into, like, how do you become a leader of leaders? But when you have led somebody well, they will turn around and they will lead others well because they knew what it meant to have somebody come alongside them and be patient and not shame them and encourage them. And so they will pass that on. And so it's neat to see, I didn't teach my kids how to do that, but because I modeled that and did that with them, they sort of kind of know how to be patient with a younger one when it comes to doing a puzzle. They don't do it for them. It's interesting. They start using their bag of tricks to try and help their sibling. And they take joy in getting them to do it. And this is our joy and our pride and satisfaction as a leader comes from seeing somebody do it. That we don't need to be the one that did the puzzle. We take absolute joy in seeing somebody else say, I did this. I did it. I didn't think I could. And I'm so proud.
Well, that's where this came from. The joy of seeing it. It's like, it's happened to us. Maybe we had some people that were effective in helping us, and some people that really weren't and stung us a little bit. But then along the way we've learned, and now here we are trying to pass off the things that we've learned to people by inviting them into this conversation with us, like siblings together, figuring this out. And I think that is the joy of helping people be able to do this well. And because we know how sometimes there's a lack of clarity, we're trying to bring clarity, and also sometimes people act in a way that bothers or discourages people. They didn't mean it. That wasn't the goal. That wasn't what they're trying to do. But there is a better way, and we're convinced this is it. How do we take it from, this has all been a bit up there, right? Theory and analogy and amazing. How do we make this a little bit more touching earth, practical, as we wrap this up?
Yeah, well, you nailed it. That's the tricky bit, is that we're taking something that's so different in any situation. There's no kind of cookie cutter, but hopefully the picture is clear enough that people kind of get that I have to figure out what my equivalent is to these little tricks and things that we do, just like we come alongside a child and try different things to help them figure out the puzzle and get them over the humps. What are those things that we're doing with our people? And there's probably more tricks in your bag than you realize. And there may be some that you haven't discovered yet. If the way that you lead someone, it's always the same thing, how do you unlock someone's full potential? People respond differently to different leadership prompts. So coming alongside will look different for different people. And that's our job to figure out, what does this person need? Okay, this person needs me to sit with them and be encouraging while we do it together. This other person needs me to back off, and they just need a pat on the back as I'm going by. You know what I mean? So I think our job practically is to figure out, what are the tricks that I'm doing as I'm coming alongside my people? Am I giving them what they need in this moment? Am I doing too much for them and they're not learning, or I'm insulting them? Or am I too hands off and I'm not involved as a leader? I haven't actually come alongside. I'm hovering, or I'm just checking in.
The helicopter leader.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And so it's that balance of saying, I need to be present enough, I need to be alongside enough that they are enjoying doing the puzzle and they're feeling the victories and they're encouraged along the way because they're seeing it come together. They're being reminded of the big picture when they need it. It's all of that. And so think about the person that you're trying to lead and think about, am I giving them what they need? Have I got the balance right? And we can't tell you whether you do or not. You will have to figure that out as a leader, bit of trial and error, but we try different things with kids, right?
Absolutely. And sometimes you realize, I've kept a couple of those pieces in my pocket. Like, I need to actually give them the whole thing. I can't keep a bit back. It's like, that's just a mean trick for a kid. Oh, where's the last two pieces? I don't know.
Yes, we've all done it though.
Yeah, it's just mean. But anyway, but that's exactly it. And I hope that that is clear, or bringing more clarity of why we're talking about this, why we're excited about it, and where this conversation is trying to take us. What skill or perspective and mindset is it trying to bring into focus as we lead people relationally?
Well, that's great. Well, we encourage you to get out on a walk, somebody that can help you ask the right questions about the people that you're leading and whether you're getting that balance right. It helps to have other people's perspective.
Absolutely. I think if we're left to ourselves to work it all out, well, then it's not relational. You're going to struggle from the start. So I implore you to go and do that and just reap the benefits.
There you go. We are a puzzle in a puzzle in a puzzle.
Good luck.
That clarifies everything.
So simple.
All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time. Bye now.
Hey, thanks guys. Join us again soon for another conversation. But in the meantime, it's your turn. Get out there and walk alongside the people that you're leading. Visit us at leadrelationally.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more support.